Welcome back. Today we're taking a look at this disposable vape pen, and the main part of this video is actually going to be the teardown of it to see basically what's inside of it. Now this is a CBD oil vape pen, and I'll mention real quickly there's a major difference between normal E-Cigs, of course, and what this is. An E-Cig is a tobacco flavored or nicotine based, either way, device. A lot of people use it as a cigarette alternative. They use it to get the nicotine still. It may have different flavors, or some people use it to replace the cigarette and have no nicotine flavor, but it has the tobacco flavor, so they still think they're smoking the cigarette. Or some people just do it to vape. But the CBD pen is a little different because it contains CBD oil. There's a lot out there about that, but real quickly, you have THC, which is the active component in marijuana. That's the part that gets you stoned. It's the psychoactive part, they call it. And then you have CBD, which is the non-psychoactive part. Now this is actually now 50 state legal. You can pretty much get this, I would say most health food stores, or I'm not sure what pharmacies carry it, but we do carry it in our store. And they use it for anxiety, depression, a few other different things. There's quite a lot of research out there, and that's not really the focus of this video. The focus is what's inside of this device. It does say it's disposable, so that obviously means it's meant for one-shot use. However, a lot of the E-Cigs you find out there, well, they are rechargeable. You can get CBD pens that are rechargeable. Hell, you can even get THC pens that are rechargeable. And again, there's a lot that are disposable. But what I understand is the batteries they use in these are actually rechargeable. And the reason why they do that is because it's cheaper to make the lithium-ion rechargeable batteries than to make standard lithium non-rechargeables. That makes sense. Now, there's two YouTubers I could think of that have done various experiments, I guess you could say, with these pens. We'll go with Big Clive first. He's done a lot of actual teardowns of these devices, particularly E-Cigs. I know he's not a big nicotine fan. He mentioned that in the last video I actually watched him do. But he did note that you can get these things with the rechargeable battery, and there are plenty of ways to figure out how to charge them, which is neat. The other guy I can think of is Photonicinduction. Now, the last video I noticed that he did something like this on was he actually had a bunch of these disposable pens that he took the batteries out of, and figured out that if you hook them up in parallel and series, you can get pretty high voltages on them. And he managed to get household voltage, so I think over there it was like 220, 240, whatever he set it to, and made this pretty neat device, which kind of had an outlet on one side, a switch on the other, and a light bulb on top. And when you turn the switch on and off, the light bulb would light, and then you could plug the device into the outlet and that would light, or power up, or whatever it was. And it was only a small cube, and it was neat because it didn't have any wires going into it. And a lot of people commented saying it's wireless power, or it has to be some kind of a battery, but it would have to be a pretty big battery. And when he did the reveal, he figured out it was just an array of these smaller batteries, and he just had collected all those disposable pens because he himself had tried to quit smoking, and he used the pen as a method to do that. I'll show you the back of this box real quick. Now, this does say it contains 50 milligrams of THC for the entire pen, and each puff you get out of it's about 0.14 milligrams. Again, this isn't going to be necessarily why you would need this particular device. It's probably a video or a subject for another person to explain. That's beyond me. But the technical part of it's going to be pretty neat. Now, I can tell you this is already dead, so I won't be able to show you how it works. But on one end of it here, you have the logo, and a little blue LED sits behind that. And then the other end, you have the hole that you pull off of. We'll call that the working end. So the idea behind this is just like any other E-Cig or anything like that. I'll hold it this way for you. Is you put your lips over here, you puff, you drag off of it, and the little end will light up blue. The oil inside will vaporize, and you get a little puff of smoke, I guess you could say. It's not smoke, but you get the idea, and then you would, let it out. But anyway, you could see probably not so well in the camera, but there's a little CW logo here, and that's the Charlotte's Web company, obviously, who makes this. And that is actually a clear window that indicates how much oil is left, and you can see it is empty. But the end of it over here pops off, and you can see there's a little reservoir inside, which kind of eludes me to think it could be refilled, but I'm not 100% sure, because when you open up a new one and turn it over, nothing comes out. So it's kind of interesting, but again, kind of hard to see inside the camera. If I can put my hand like this, maybe make it focus better. You have a round little hole, and then to the very left, you can see there's something slightly different in there. It seems like the way this works is once you actually have this sealed, that hole in the middle doesn't actually equate to the hole here. There's actually little slits all around. That hole, that piece here actually plugs the hole, I should say, there. And then that little offset cut over there is where the vapor must come from, which would then go into the little holes around the middle there. So that part makes sense. The other end over here, you may or may not be able to see, but there's little gaps like right there, and there's another one right there, and that's what allows the air to come through. So the air would actually come from the outside, come through the pen, and pick up whatever vapor's been burning off in here. Smoke, burn, it's kind of ambiguous when you say vape, because vaping is a different method. It's not actually anything being burned. Although there is heat being applied, it's a different method, I guess you could say. I did just play around with this within the last few days just to see if I could try to get it open, and I couldn't. So we're going to be a little destructive on this, because after all, it is disposable. And I'm going to see if I can really try to pop this end off over here. This end obviously came off, but the rest of this looks like it's just like inserted in. So if anything, I might have to actually maybe cut down the side of the pen, but I got to be careful because of that battery inside. So we shall get a various bunch of tools out here and try to rip this thing open. All right, well, I managed to get a little bit of this all nickered up here. You could see the silver kind of flaking off my fingers here, but I used a pair of my nippy cutters here and just kind of grabbed it like this. The pliers didn't seem like they worked that well, but we could pull the end right off. And it looks like the battery's going to come out right behind it maybe. Now I can see a few wires. There's a black wire, a blue wire, and a red wire. It looks like the red wire goes to one end of the battery. The other two pieces go up to the end. Now I've seen something with these before. It almost looks like a microphone at the end. I don't know if it uses like a piezo element or what it does to do this thing here, but it's kind of neat. Now those wires are hanging up on something in here. That's probably going to go down to the actual, I guess we'll call it atomizer, vaporizer. Yeah, that battery, oh, something just undid itself. Yeah, there's definitely something there. We go. Oh, that wire just came off the top there. I knew this was going to be destructive, but now you can see there's some of this white capped on tape in here, and they just threaded that down the end there, and you can kind of see down there. Now there's the vaporizer unit. Perhaps I can, let's see, maybe push this out from this side. Oh, yep, something's budging. Well, I just put the screwdriver right through something. Everything kind of came out. So what do we have here? Seems to be a little wick. You can kind of see that. And there's a little metal end piece here, and there seems to be a little gasket. Oh, sorry for bumping the camera. Yeah, I did actually put that screwdriver straight through this reservoir here. The camera will focus. You see a kind of keyhole. That was a round hole. Screwdriver popped straight through it. But there isn't anything else in there. And that does actually seem to be the reservoir. And my suspicions were correct. You could see it's not exactly round. It is on most of the edges, but that bottom edge, you can actually see that really clearly now. There's that little flat, and that flat is what allows the air to go underneath that tank and come out the end here, the vapor we'll call it. And you can see that down in there. So that's going to be the end of the reservoir. So all that fluid is going to sit up against that little plate there. So that's the end of the vaporizer. And then of course, here is the said vaporizer. And it's kind of nice, they put little bits of heat shrink tape on there, which is good. But yeah, that's the vape. Unfortunately, it looks like I kind of put the screwdriver into it. Yeah, it's that same little wick concept. It just looks like it sits. Looks like it sits this way. The important thing here is looking at this battery. Now this is a 1.04 watt hour battery, and it has a code here 16A05. This side's indicated as positive, this side's indicated as negative. And it looks like, unfortunately, that wire came out. You can just very faintly see the hint of red where this positive cable came out and went into here. Now I'm assuming this is going to have the actual control to it. And I think the way this works is this may be very similar to a microphone. And what happens here is when you drag on the end of this pen, the air coming through it probably causes a little change in this diaphragm. I don't think it's picking up sound necessarily, but I just think the pressure differential between the outside of the pen and the inside coming across this is what causes this to move, if you will. And that probably completes some circuitry and then allows the juice to flow down to the vaporizer unit, which would make perfect sense. Hopefully can take this apart a little further. I mean, there's probably some kind of a control circuit in there, because if you drag too long off this thing, the light will go out and it actually won't allow you to puff anymore, which is exactly how the E-Cigs work. So it should be pretty interesting to take a look at that. I'm not sure if I'll get in there or not. Now the way to test this battery is to probably plug it into my power supply over here at a really low voltage and a low current, and see if it will take some kind of a charge. I do have another one of these that I picked up when this one died, because I actually wanted to do this teardown, and it sat on my desk and I ended up messing around with it, and in the interim I killed it. Like literally I completely killed it. I was just messing with it one day and it just didn't work afterwards. It was already empty, but it had plenty of life left on the battery, so I just wanted to play around with it, and yeah, I killed it. So I said, let me buy another one, and I won't kill it, I'll just use it, and then when it's done I'll do another video. So I can actually go grab that one if I want and test the battery voltage, but I think I'm just going to go ahead right now and just play with this a little bit and see if I can come up with anything a little more interesting. Let's get a little bit destructive on the vape unit here. I'll go ahead and just cut this wire off here. It's a little tiny wire, but we'll just cut that off. Now it seemed like the black one went to the negative of the battery, the blue one went up to what we'll call the control circuit. And I just glanced in here a little bit, and there's actually a little metal coil, and apparently this is a ceramic, I'm going to say, insert here inside this metal piece. And what it looked like happened was this wick was actually pushed up against that coil there, and what happened is just through capillary action, the oil would actually come out to the end of the wick here, and I'm taking it, this coil gets hot. I don't know if it gets red hot, but it does probably get hot, and that would actually cause the wick to heat up and a vapor would come off. So that makes perfect sense. But it does seem like I can actually get that coil out, so we can probably take a closer look. Now you can see that this that's that little black piece there, that is the coil, and there's just these little tiny fibers in here. I hope this isn't like fiberglass or anything, because that's going to itch like hell later. And you can see there's a little bit of this white silastic goo on the end over here, and that's just a little cushion to hold us in. And I should note everything is kind of sticky in here, which makes sense because vapor and whatnot. And that might all kind of come out. You can see there's the tiniest, yeah, that wick is all over my fingers. That's what that gook is here, material. It's really sticky, like I said. But there's that coil. It's just the tiniest little couple turns of wire. Probably some kind of nichrome or something along those lines. What I should do, since I have it out here, is strip the leads on this and set the power supply to real low voltage, low current, and see if we can get this thing to maybe glow or something. Before I go ahead and blow this battery up or blow up this little coil over here, I should mention I did some research on this battery. Just typed in the numbers here on Google real quick. It seems like the 16A05 could possibly be a serial number or a date code. The 1.04 watt hour means how many, it's 1 watt per hour of discharge. So this is exactly 1.04 watts in an hour discharge. It's not a common thing. Usually they use milliamp hours, but whatever. And then you can see up here this PE08570T. The 8570 actually comes up with a battery. If you type in the PE part, so it's the PE0857, it comes up with a lithium ion battery. And you can get these 1,000 pieces for $1 a piece. And since it says it's a lithium ion battery, that clearly indicates that this is rechargeable. So that's pretty interesting to know. Now, of course, you're not going to go out and buy a bunch of $30 CBD pens to hack the battery out, but if you happen to be using these things, you could actually save the battery and make something useful out of it. Now, I also went and threw this on the multimeter and confirmed, yeah, it actually still has voltage set up in it. So what I did was set my power supply to 3.06 volts, and we'll set the amperage on that to really low. Actually, I did the math over here. It's at 1.04 watts and 3.6 volts. That should be about 289 milliamps. So we can set our supply over here to get to that 289 milliamps easy. Let's do that and see what happens when we apply some power to this thing. Well, unfortunately, nothing exciting is happening. I set it to 285 milliamps at 3.6 volts, and I turn the supply on, and well, it doesn't do anything. It does draw current, not a whole lot, but it's kind of really not exciting. I mean, it doesn't even get hot. Oh, actually, I lied. It's warm. Yeah, actually, yeah, it is hot. Okay, I lied. Well, let's see if I can maybe get some juice into this battery. It does have some power on it now. So what I'm going to do is put something on here to discharge it. Now, it probably, honestly, won't discharge quickly. I'm assuming I should be able to put an LED or an array of LEDs onto this, and it'll probably stay lit all night. Unfortunately, right now, it's 12:13 in the morning. And this video has to be edited and uploaded for later on today, so you guys can watch it tonight. So that said, I'm going to pretty much leave it as is right now. I'll do some further experimenting with this over the next couple days, and we'll see if maybe we can get some juice in that battery for sure, and probably the best way to charge it. Now, since I don't have a dedicated charger here for that, I'm assuming we're going to use the power supply, and we'll just set this to a, like I said, a low current, low voltage. I'll do a little research on it, see what a good voltage is to charge this at. I know a lot of them might be like 4.2 to charge the 3.6 volt battery, or 4.1, or I'll figure that all out. So definitely be a follow-up video on this particular subject, because it's too much to do right now in one video, but I definitely wanted to have some kind of introduction to this. The other thing I was going to do for this video tonight, I'll mention, since I'm going on my camping trip soon, I have some new equipment that I was going to pick up tonight. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to the store in time to do so. So I will do that in the morning and grab that on the way to work. And at some point over the weekend, I will get that video shot, and that'll be probably Tuesday's video, along with the gear review video that I mentioned that I'll have at some point, where I'll show you which gear I'm taking out on the trip with me. And then beyond that, it will be the actual trip, so there won't be a Thursday upload per se next week, but will be subject for another time. With that, guys, I want to thank you for watching, and again, we'll see you next video.